Okay, so we're continuing now, beginning the section of Hachana. And Hachana, what is Hachana? Hachana is preparation. And what we're going to see right now is, again, now we've gone through basically our goals. We have our goals set out for us in terms of tefillah. We've learned and we've established. Don't worry, you're good. Don't worry about it. Yeah, a bunch of guys have chavrusos now, so it's all good. Don't worry about it. So we've established now our goals. What are we trying to do? We've established that none of us know how to daven, right? None of us. Nobody. Me, the Gedolei Adori, nobody knows how to daven. Excuse me, I'm not going to say that, but okay, fine. That's the idea. That's the idea. Nobody knows how to daven. And because why? Because we don't put the effort into it. Because we don't put the time, we don't put the effort. So our goal is to, number one, put time and effort into learning how to daven. Number two, what's our goal? Our goal is to recognize and change our entire mindset about davening. Change the entire mindset from just being, okay, our main goal and our main way of trying to find a connection point to Hashem by coming to davening. You just come to davening to ask for things. It's just to come to make Hashem our ATM. Hashem is a magic genie. You have 3 wishes. Rub the lamp. Baruch atah Hashem. Parnasa. Health. Refuah. Shkoyach. Have a nice day, Hashem. I'll see you in a few hours. Right? That's not the idea, right? The whole idea is shifting our mindset of tefillah, is recognizing that tefillah itself is the relationship, right? It's not the etzem of what comes out of it. That's part of it. But that's what comes out of any relationship, right? It's the etzem of just the emotional connection. Finding the emotional connection with Hashem through those moments of tefillah. And ultimately, what's a result of that is all of these beautiful things that we have in our lives. Everything is a result of tefillah. That's what we said, right? But it doesn't just come in. You don't just walk in, dump all the things at your wife's. So they say the analogy, right? You just come in, drop everything by your wife's feet, and then walk out, right? You come in, you talk, you have an emotional connection, and then all the good things will come out of that as well. So let's get into it. So now we're beginning into Lamaiso, how we're going to follow this path. Hachana, preparation. Yesod Kavanah. V'zechus halei b'tefillah tluyim b'achana shel faneh. And remember, he's not just giving us advice. This is the Yesod. He's telling us the Yesod Kavanah. If you want to have Kavanah, if you want to have Zakus Alev, not Zechus, Zakus Alev, I think he's saying. Zakus Alev, which is purity of heart. Like if you want to be able to have proper Kavanah and focus the tefillah, it all depends on your preparation beforehand. V'chein kotzav Rambam v'zal. The Rambam says like this: Keitzad hi Kavanah she'pones libo mikol machshavos. Right. So what is Kavanah? How is it possible? Right. So what is Kavanah? Kavanah is when you clear out your heart from all these other thoughts. V'yiras atzmo, and you see yourself. Ki'ilu hu omer lifnei Hashchina. Right. The way that Kavanah means that you actually are able to clear out all this other studio, all these other thoughts in your mind, and you could actually view yourself as if you're standing in front of the Shekhinah, in front of Hashem himself. Lefichach, tzarich leishev mat kodem tefillah. You need to sit a little bit before tefillah even starts. K'dei lechaven es libo. You need to actually just sit there before tefillah and prepare yourself. Prepare your heart. Just think a little bit. Clear your mind. Eitzah number 1. V'kein calls it b'shulchan aruch. Siman Sadi Gimel v'zal. This is what it says in Shulchan Aruch. Yisha sha achas kodem sheyakom leispalel k'dei sheyechaven libo lamakom. Says in the Shulchan Aruch, listen to Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says that a person should sit for a full hour. Don't worry, it's not what we hope. A person should sit for a full hour, kodem, before you come to daven, in order to prepare your heart before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're obviously going to see in a second that this is referred to the Hasidim Rishonim, that this concept, we're not even remotely expected to sit there for an hour. But the concept is still true. The halacha is still true. And that actually says in the Shulchan Aruch, which is halacha. And again, what do we always say about halacha? Halacha is not just the rule book. Halacha is halacha. The derech, the way. How do you serve God? That's what halacha is. Halacha teaches how do we actually get close to Hashem. What's the way to follow the path of God? Hachana l'tefillah. Sit there, yeah.
You said a couple of weeks ago that in the past the Rav was learning and now our Rav is davening. So wouldn't that make sense that even more so now we should have to do that preparation?
Great question. And ultimately, I think the way that we would answer that is that because one of the one of those things I think the point is that ultimately that their avoda in the past, we would say before that it was the ikr was limud Torah, but in the point is that we've seen even one of the reasons why our ikr nowadays is because of the Yeridas Adoros, right? Because of the fact that we've gone down, right? And that's what kind of what we spoke about, not going too deep back into our Akdam before, but because we've gotten to this place nowadays that we're on the heels bringing Mashiach, and like we've gotten to such a low point that we need to, kind of just scream. This is the whole thing we spoke about. But I think the point is that back then they had the capabilities. Nowadays we're saying the average person just doesn't have these capabilities. Like we just don't. There are people that do. You will find pious people that do. But even if we do have those capabilities to sit down for an hour for davening, are we really using that full hour, bli batala, without our thoughts drifting into other places? And I don't think we could really sit there for a full hour and really just think about the things we think about. Now, what could we do? We could do about 5 minutes, 4 minutes. That's what we're going to talk about, right? The fi archel, right? We have to understand what the Shulchan Aruch tries to tell us. And so we have to understand the message. What's the reasoning behind this, and how can we apply it to ourselves? What is that? With or without? Well, we'll talk about it. He's going to go into it right now. The whole section is about the achana. With or without, whatever's. Yeah, same thing. Always same concept. Same concept. V'hine seder zed yishamat kodem tefillah. And this the seder that again, when a person should actually set for himself, he should make a seder every day before tefillah. To do what? To just sit for a little bit before davening starts. Eino divrei musar veisorus. It's not divrei musar. It's not divrei isorus. Oh mile de chasidusa. It's not milim of chasidus. Halacha. It's halacha. It says in the Shulchan Aruch. Shahari via Harambam beloshem ketzariya Kavanah. The Rambam says, what is Kavanah? The Kavanah atzma himina devarim ha'akvim tefillah. Kavanah is one of the things that tefillah relies on. That literally holds back. That tefillah relies on. V'nimsa ha'me'acher the beis hakenasis b'shachris. Someone who's rushing to shachris. Bechotzef es hatalis. He grabs his talis. And he rushes through. He's mamish like a madman. He's late to davening. He throws on his tefillin, throws on his towel. He's running through as fast as he can. Oh, what is that?
Isn't
Chipazon stale? No, that's a chilazon. Good. That's chilazon. Chipazon is like a haste, like rush. Good. Chilazon is a snail. But mincha, u'mariv. Same thing with mincha and mariv. Same thing. What do we do? We're running. We get to mincha every single day, and we're trying to run. We get there. The tzibur just starts Shemona Esrei. We just jump into tefillah. Harei that neged halacha. This is not just different. Most of this is against the halacha. This is against the Shulchan Aruch. The kvar merosh muftach lo shelo yatzliach chavin, and it's a guarantee that you will not have kavanah. This is a guarantee. Not only are you going against the halacha, you're going against the Shulchan Aruch, which teaches us again the halachas. If you want to fulfill the halacha of davening, the mitzvah of tefillah, then this is one of the things that's ma'akiv. You have to get there a little bit before you have to be able to take a deep breath and clear your mind. He says not only are you not following the halacha, but you're not going to succeed. But tefillah, so tehei shalok hogan, your tefillah is not going to. It's not going to be as it's supposed to be. It's not going to be as again. Are you going to fulfill the mitzvah of tefillah? Yeah, for sure, 100%. But just by saying the words of tefillah, you fulfill it. But we know there's different levels of filling it, and that's what we'll talk about. Bar. So we clarify. We see she efshar lamod. It's not possible. V'teikaf lispala mitocha inyan she'osek bo. It's not possible that a person could just immediately go from whatever inyan he's dealing with. You're dealing with your job. You just close the big deal. It's not possible you just go straight from that and just rely on just getting there to tefillah. They just go right to tefillah. It's not possible, right? Someone who does like this is actually disregarding. He's disregarding or disrespecting, so to speak, the devarim of the chachamim. And even if you attempt, you try your hardest to have kavanah. Lo talabiyado. It's not going to happen. I can testify firsthand for this. Always. Shekvar gilu lanu chachamim. Sher derech lekavana. He rak al yedei. Shehia vizbonanos lafiyat tefillah. Right? That the chachamim informed us and they taught us that the derech to have kavanah is only on the way of shehia, which is pausing, taking a deep breath. He's bonanos lafiyat tefillah. Just closing your eyes, just calming down. Being there before davening starts, and just sitting there, just clearing your mind. And this is a key. Every single person, according to your own erech, according to your own quality, every single person, the fi'archa, that's how you much need the hachana. Some people it's 20 minutes. Some people it's 50 minutes. Some people it's 5 minutes. Nobody's 0 minutes. That's what he's saying. Nobody's 0 minutes. He says it's impossible. And again, these are all things that we're starting to understand. He's calling us out in a loving way. But these are all things we're all guilty of. And we all wonder, why do we not connect in tefillah? Why do we have so many issues? He's just going issue by issue. And we're sitting here, we're like, wow, I do literally every single one of these things. No wonder I don't connect tefillah. Right? This is how we're learning now. He's breaking it all down for us. We're understanding now. And then how do we masakin it? This is number one. He says, Rav Shimshon saying, you want to be masakin it? Do you want to connect? He says, hachana. Chacham tell us. It's in the Shulchan Aruch. Get there early. Get the davening beforehand. If you're there past when it starts already, like people have this thing, that people have this conception. This is a conception that it's essential for tefillah. Is that when it says that davening starts at 8 o'clock, davening doesn't start at 8 o'clock. Davening starts at 7:50. Like when you get that into your head, then your entire tefillah will change. I will tell you this as a utter pure fact, pure first-hand testimony. It was the only time I started to grow in tefillah was only when I started establishing that in my mind. Davening starts 10 minutes at least. And then the more you do karbanos, the more you grow and whatever it is, then the earlier it gets. But davening does not start at 8 o'clock. Davening starts at 10:50. You're going to see an immediate change. When you have your tefillin on, and you've already said matovu, you've already said adon olam, you've said everything, and the chazan says the brachos, you're just answering the brachos, you don't need to rush through to say the brachos, you're going to feel something different. Your tefillah will begin to change. But chacham say, other than that, it's impossible. Chasidim harishonim, as we said before, mechamas otzemes taharas tefillas, because of the tahara of their tefillas. Hayu zekukim l'shah shlema. They needed a full hour. They probably needed a full hour. Ve'anu kol echad ve'echad kfi archa. But for us, we're not like these Chasidim rishonim. Our own levels. Erech is a level. Ava below achana, but without any achana. Afilu im yis akish darban libo lechavin. And even if you urge and you're you make your, so to speak, you're stubborn. Like you try to force your heart. You can try to force your heart to focus as much as you can. It says yes, maybe you'll be able to force your kavanah for a bracha, half a bracha, maybe even a full bracha. He's like, you're not going to be able to. There's no way. You can't. It's not possible. He says you can't just focus. You're not going to be able to just focus yourself, your entire tefillah. Sof. Chazkas marakama goveres. Right? Well, like what we're learning, and we're learning Bava Metzia right now. We say you're always going to return to the previous state. Right? If you already have a cheskas marakama, beautiful. It is deep, no? Cheskas marakama goveres v'yichbo shalev le'inyanim shemitocham amalis pala. You're always going to go back to that first thing, that first Indian that was on your mind beforehand. Cheskas marakama. That's what we have. We know that Allah. Cheskas marakama. Right? That there's a chazaka of the first owner. And so ultimately, that's this idea that he's bringing forth, and he's saying this is not just an act of piety; it's an essential act if you want to grow in tefillah. V'yesh bazeh od halachos. There's more halachos. Lo yamol lispal mitoch schok v'kalus rosh. We can't come to daven from a place of kalus rosh, of joking, of lightheadedness. V'lo mitoch meriva, not from fighting. V'lo mitoch kaz, and not from anger. Ela mitoch divrei Torah v'simcha shel mitzvah. We have to the only way you can approach davening and connect is from a place of divrei Torah and simcha shel mitzvah. I'll call 2 seconds. Let me just finish the paragraph. Ayin sham b'shulchan aruch. See the Shulchan Aruch. Shekol elu inyanim kovshim es halev. It says explicitly that these inyanim, they are matrid a person. They block our heart. They block our machshava. We can't focus when we're stuck in these mindsets. The heart that's cleared and focused only on tefillah. How does a person? He's giving us advice right now. He's giving you advice. He's saying now, what do we do during this time of achana? Do we just sit there and think? Some people you could, but he says, I'm going to give you a better eitzah. We know how do you prepare, how do you clear your heart? The only way your nefesh, your neshama, becomes happy and excited and geshmak is through Torah. Through mitzvahs and divrei Torah. That's the way your inner heart. Even if you don't feel it so much on the outside, that's how you prepare your heart. And tefillah is an avodah shabalev. Tefillah is all on the inside. Tefillah is an avodah with our neshama. And whether you feel happy externally or not by learning divrei Torah, that's not relevant to the fact that your neshama does. And when during davening, you're awakening your neshama. So the point is, by learning some divrei Torah before davening, by coming to davening early, learning divrei Torah, something that awakens you. Some people that's a Musar sefer. Some people it's Chassidus. Some people it's a Gemara. Some people it's all these different things, right? Mihu she's alim divrei Chazal v'yatzliach. And he says, and I'll ask you a question: Whoever Shimshon is saying, tell me right now, find me a person who deviated from the divrei Chazal, who looks at divrei Chazal, says, nah, I'm good, I'll do my own thing, and they actually succeed. Who says that? Yeah, something.
Does this mean if you're in any of these negative moods, you shouldn't be davening?
It's a great question as well. No. So it is talked about that in halacha. It's definitely it's the davening is more important. So if you're in a place of kas, for example, you are supposed to do your best, take a deep breath. I have seen there is discussion about where that means like you should be willing to miss like. If you're in like a state of anger, can you actually daven? Like, I think I'm not going to say Piariza because I don't remember exactly if it was the same or whatever it is, but I do think I have seen or I have heard that there is in Yonim that people that will wait to daven, even that missing Tefillah B'tzibur, but you would never miss like Tefillah B'zman, I don't think, because of this. The point is, do your best, but the idea is that if you come to davening with the state of hachana, then you don't have to worry about it, because that's the idea, right? If you come to davening with the intention that you're going to clear yourself from all these things, I know firsthand the amount of times that I have to just run into davening, like, just dealing with something. I'm in the middle of some business things, some stupid things, whatever it happens that mess up. Yeah, you just think of it the whole davening is impossible. It's impossible. But if you come to davening, turn off your phone 10 minutes beforehand. You have time to just kind of get rid of that and just focus on the davening. It works. It really works. This mom is crazy. So it is important to know, like, lahalacha, we don't. These are not ma'akeh from davening, but we are supposed to do our best, and he's giving us our eitzah to do our best. And we even know I'm sure he's going to talk about it. But if you look inside the Shulchan Aruch, which talks about all these halachas, believe it or not, the power of Kavanah is so important that what are we supposed to learn before davening? It says it actually says in the Shulchan Aruch, in Mishnah Berurah, that you shouldn't learn like Ian. You should not be learning Ian Gemara, Ian Halacha before davening. Why? Because he said even that. It says your mind could get so wrapped up in the Ian sugyas that the entire davening you're just going to focus on the Ian. It says that's not what makes your heart happy. What makes your heart happy is like a sefer musar, right? Something that just awakens you, or something even a bekiyas, something bekiyas, something light. You want to do a chazar, whatever. It's something that's light. Something gives you a geshmak. Whatever gives you a geshmak and makes your heart happy and connected and actually makes you feel some sort of simcha. That's what you should be learning. It says before davening, you should not be sitting there and going down and doing a deep Ian chazar of shir. It says actually the Shulchan Aruch should not be doing that. They should not be doing pilpul before davening because of the importance of just simply on a basic level awakening our neshama, awakening our heart. And this is all Eitz of the Maisa. This is all from Chazal. Amdam Nira Sheish Bazeh Omek Yoser V'ma She'achona Me'akevas HaTefillah. And we see that there's actually even more depth that this hachana is a ma'akev l'tefillah, which means that it's reliant on it. That if you don't have hachana, you're not going to have proper tefillah. Milvad inyan panoi. Besides milvad inyan pinoi mashavas have leiv l'tefillah. Besides for just the inyan of just clearing your mind and your heart for tefillah. Dihine bebracha, says the Gemara in Bracha, Zaf Lamed Aleph. Tana Rabbanan ein odim leispala lo mitoch atzvos. Right, a person should never come to daven from a place of depression, from a place of sadness. V'lo mitoch atzlus, and not from a place of laziness. V'lo mitoch schok, and not from jokingness. V'lo mitoch kalus rosh, and not from lightheadedness. V'lo mitoch dvarim betelim, and not from dvarim betelim. You shouldn't just sit there talking about the football game, waiting for v'hurachim. Right? Ela mitoch simcha shal mitzvah. The only way to approach tefillah is from simcha shal mitzvah. Umipi Rashi, simcha shal mitzvah. What does that mean? He go in divrei tanchumin. Shal Torah. He goes samach lagulas mitzrayim. O samach latil David. Shusha shevach v'tanchumin b'chula. So, for example, he says, what's an example of this? And he says, listen to the words of Chazan. It's all built in the Chazan. There's a reason that, for example, why do we say divrei gulas mitzrayim? Why is there smicha gula tefillah? Because when we go through the inyanim of right before we daven Shemona Esrei, we talk about the inyanim and the miracles of gulas mitzrayim, of all that Hashem differs, divrei tanchumim of Torah. Seeing how Hashem, that's literally why we go. That's why we go straight from that to that. This is what the point is. When you read and you actually understand what you're reading in Ezra, so you saw, right? The whole thing about talking about Hashem's miracle, Hashem nisim for us, how Hashem is emes, that gives your neshama a geshmak, a happiness, a simcha to approach. When you start Shemona Esrei, you're like, wow, Hashem is awesome. Same thing. We say, Osabach Latil David, Shusha Shevach v'tanchumin Ayin Sham, Umasha Kasu Samach Lagulas Mitzrayim Lechora Zo Halocha Shmichas Gulat Tefillah. This is a halacha of Smicha Gula Tefillah. We know that it's essential in Tefillah that we go straight from Gal Yisrael into Shemona Esrei with no delay. That's in the halacha. Smicha Gula Tefillah is a very important thing. Over Inyan Smichas Gula Tefillah, Mefarish Rashi with brachas. But Rashi says the Gemara on Daf Beis and Beis B'Shem Yerushalmi V'Zal Mi she'eno somek Gula Tefillah l'mahu doma. Someone who's not somek Gula Tefillah, someone who doesn't basically connect immediately the Inyan of the Gula to davening. What's he similar to? Le'ohavo shamelech, to a friend of the king. Sheba b'dafaga pischol shamelech. He comes and he knocks on the king's door. Yatza hamelech, and the king comes. Umatzo sheiflig afu iflig. Right? And what does we say? We had. One second. Let me just see. I just lost the place. Sorry. Le'ohavo shamelech. Sheba b'dafaga pischol shamelech. Yatza hamelech umatzo sheiflig afu iflig. Right? And he sees that the guy's gone. Right? The king comes to the door. Open the door, and the guy's gone. The king's like, "Where'd you go?" And so then, therefore, the king closes the door and he goes away too. Ela ye adam mikarev lakadosh baruch hu. Elav v'meratzeu b'tishpachos v'klutzin shalisias mitzrayim. V'u miskarev elav ubeodo karev elav yeshol litvoa tzrachav akan lashona. But rather, what should a person do? Because the analogy says like this: if you start knocking on the door, right? You start saying, "Hashem, I love you." This and that. You start gula tefillah, and then what do you do? Is someone who does it, and if you, let's say, you don't daven Shemona Esrei right away, or you take a break. Right? And then Hashem opens the door to open the door, to let you into his inner chambers. And what happens? You just walk away. And the king opens the door, ding dong ditch. The king says, oh, okay. And closes the door and walks away. Where'd he go? Where did my friend go? I wanted to see my friend today. He didn't show up. Right? And he says that all we're trying to do is that once he opens the door and you're standing right there and you have this closeness to Hashem, this kirvas Hashem, then what? That's when you can ask for your tzrachov. That's when you can start that things. The whole point is, when you're in the presence of the king at a place of love, at a place of gishmak, a place of happiness, that's when you can talk to the king. That's when you can ask him for your tzrachov. What time is it? Oh yeah. Was
There's
that?
also a reason why, like, let's say you finish Pasuki early, like you want to learn a bit, you should.
If you finish one more time?
You finish Pasuki early.
Yeah.
You want to like learn a bit before chakras. You should do that.
Yeah. Because, and you're talking about Pesukei Zimra, right?
Yeah, like percent.
Yeah, so this is the Indian, right? Because the point is, as you're going, because we know Pesukei Zimra is Achana for Shemona Esrei, right? Once you're in Pesukei Zimra, you're in. You're in. You're ascending the ladder. Pesukei Zimra is only there as what? As part of this. We're going to discuss this as we continue now. We're going to pause in a second. We'll wrap up right now because I know I have to give shiur. But the idea is that Pesukei Zimra, as we go through, we're going to see. But it's only for the sake of this hachana for Shemona Esrei. That's the idea of Pesukei Zimra. It's to get your heart into a place of just praises and praises and praises of Hashem, that by the time you get to Shemona Esrei, you're on cloud 9. Your neshama's on cloud 9. And that's the reason that if you get up to Yishtabach before the Tzibur, you're not supposed to stop and just start learning Torah and wait for the Chaz to go. What you could do is you could say Tehillim if you want. You're allowed to say Tehillim, I believe. You can say Tehillim. But you can't learn Torah because the idea is that you're already in. You've knocked on the door. The door is being knocked. Hashem is opening the door. Hashem is waiting for you there, right? Don't get lost. Keep your mind, your heart focused on that. Tefillah is an avodah shabalev, right? The idea is that we're trying to bring out here, when you're in tefillah, be in tefillah. Don't be out of tefillah. Because what's the point? That's the idea of imagine when you're sitting during Chazaras Hashatz, and we spoke about the power, you're still in. You haven't left yet, right? During Chazaras Hashatz, we're going to talk about the way we go up and we leave. You're still in the presence of Hashem. And you just take out a sefer or something and it's just random sefer and just start reading and start trying to learn. We're missing the point. Hashem says, no, stop. There's time for that. What are you doing? I'm here, now we're talking. You have plenty of time for that. That's right now, this is the most intimate spot. We're sitting here face to face. You took out a book, you took out a magazine. Chas v'shalom, Torah's not magazine, chas v'shalom. But I'm just saying that in an extreme way, just to understand why it's also to learn Chazar Hashatz. We're going to talk about that. Maybe it's not necessarily halach. Asar lacha l'maisa to, if you say words, definitely asar. If you go talk to someone of more than asar, we're going to talk about Chazar Hashatz. But maybe you can glance at something la halacha. It's not a proper need. It's absolutely not proper need to be learning during Chazar Hashatz. And you might see Rebbein that do it, and I have no comment on that because that everybody's got their own cheshbon, and people are much smarter and much further along than me, have their own cheshbon. But from what I've learned and from this farm that I've learned from it's not something. It's because of this Indian of achana, of that we're in the presence of the king. How could we do that? How could we just take out our phone, so to speak? Anyways, shkoyach. Happy we made it happen, and Bez Hashem, we will continue on. What day is it today? Is it Wednesday or Sunday? Today's Sunday. We'll see you on Wednesday. Bez Hashem.